Finally, after so much anticipation, episode 77, part 1 is finally out. And although many people expected that we would see the Titan Cameraman and G-Man, but still for me, this was one of the best episodes that Mr. Boom did. Due to the atmosphere that he conveyed, we literally found ourselves in an apocalyptic world where we were accompanied by mesmerizing music that kept our attention until the very end. Also in this episode, the alliance between the cameraman and the toilets was made official, and Boom himself even wrote about it in the description below the episode. We also saw new survivors, which was expected for me, and we also learned more about the chair lore. But the most important thing is what we saw at the end of the episode, which is the moment when the Astro head literally came to life. And honestly, it changes our whole idea of Astro, and what I'm about to tell you later in the video will definitely interest you. But also, Boom left a big clue for future episodes in this episode, and I think not many people noticed it because something terrible is about to happen. And I will tell you about it a little bit later. I will also tell you how G-Squad got new weapons and improvements and why they started talking. In short, this episode is really worth this long wait because in my eyes, Skibidi is reaching a new level of quality every time. So if you want to understand why this episode was important and what horrible things await us in the future, make sure to stay till the end. Hello friends, you're on the channel. Subscribe to the channel and press the like button under the video to speed up the release of the next video. And let's go. The events of episode 77 take place right after episode 76. After the Astros have destroyed the city, we find ourselves in a completely destroyed area. Or rather, it's a different city that is not far from the city we saw in episode 76. Or it's even possible that the same city is just a different part of it. But honestly, it's not that important. Now we're looking at the events from the large POV cameraman with the huge gun, who in episode 76 ordered the agents to retreat. As everything was destroyed, the cameraman blacked out for a while and woke up underwater. And we saw a flying Astro in the sky that probably also participated in the destruction of the city. The cameraman started to get out of the water, and as he turned the camera around, we saw the Strider who had also been hiding in this spot the whole time. But the large cameraman signaled to him that they should sit here while he scouted out the situation, as they didn't know what was happening now and what might be waiting for them when they got out, and the Strider went back into the water. Also notice that the Strider has a special shelter for the scientist that protects him from the water, and this could mean that the cameramen suspected that they would have to deal with water, and decided to invent this technology. This could also hint that we might see episodes underwater in the future. By the way, this has already been implemented in the zombie universe from Monster Up. So there is a good chance that we will see something similar in the original series, but time will tell. After the Strider went underwater again, our cameraman turned around and headed towards the city to scout the situation. And pay attention how beautiful everything looks, and the music that accompanies us is mesmerizing as hell. Boom really sweated over this episode. Bro started looking around to see if there were any enemies nearby, or if there were any survivors of the hell that was going on here. But so far, he didn't see anything. But we heard a ringing coming from somewhere in the city. And when Bro turned around, he saw something like a church. But the most interesting thing was a freaking chair that was just standing in the middle of the city. But suddenly it started to move, and we saw a bright white flash that seemed to pull the chair towards itself. And then the chair flew up into the air and headed towards the light source. And you gotta admit, that's pretty damn suspicious, and I can't believe that Boom literally showed the cameraman this chair that started moving. And the cameraman realized he needed to move there. He loaded his gun in case there were enemies and flew to that spot on his jetpack. And frankly, I had no doubt that when he got there, there would be nothing there. But there's actually something else there, and it's the same plant that's always in the places where the chair was standing. And it's very strange. And there's also a weird thing next to the tree that looks like a phone booth, and that's also very suspicious because why the hell is a phone booth built into a tree? Maybe it's something else, and I doubt it has any significance, but maybe it's a reference to something. That thing also reminds me of characters from Roblox. And maybe it's a reference to when Mr. Boom played Roblox with Creek and Steak. But I don't have any more ideas. Maybe I'll come up with something as I continue to analyze it, so write what you see. But we need to figure out where the chair disappeared to. And honestly, there could be a million theories. But the most obvious one would be shape-shifting. And maybe the chair shape-shifted into a plant, because we saw the chair and we saw some kind of flash. And then there was only a plant left, and it's logical to assume that it's a shape-shifting. And to be honest, this is the most obvious theory from what we have seen. But actually, I think it's something else. Because in episode 76, we saw the chair and the plant literally in the same scene, which destroys the theory of shape-shifting. And the chair couldn't have been in two places at once. And I think Boom put the plant there on purpose to confuse us and make us think that the chair is shape-shifting. Okay, but even if the shape-shifting theory doesn't fit, then where the hell did the chair go? And at the moment, I have only one explanation for this. It was a teleport used by the secret agent, because we know that the secret agent can teleport other characters or objects as he did several times with the lucky cameraman. And Boom showed us the white flash instead of the green flash, so that we would not think that it was a secret agent. Plus, he left the plant to confuse us completely. And if you don't suspect, Boom often tries to confuse us so we can't predict what's coming next. And that's what makes the show more interesting. And because he confuses us, our theories rarely come true because we can't predict the plot. And we can only predict something when Boom allows us to do so, like when he started showing us leaks with G-Man's squad and we realized that there will be an alliance between the sides in this episode. But we never find out about some important details until the time comes. And based on the fact that Boom is trying to confuse us again, I doubt the shape-shifting theory this time. And I think the chair was teleported by a secret agent and the plant was left behind to confuse us. But it's just my guess, so write what you think about it. And after the chair disappeared, we heard some sounds of someone coming, and holy moly, it was humans who had been here the whole time. And I'll be honest, I had no doubt that we were going to see more humans. And I've talked about this many times in my videos because Boom is inspired by movies and different shows. And because I've watched a lot of movies and shows, I know that usually in situations like this, when there's an infection in the world or the world is conquered by aliens, there's always small settlements of humans who somehow manage to survive, and they build their little camps and they're trying to find more survivors. And that's what we're seeing now. And I'm sure there are even more humans, and as is usually the case in movies, I believe there is a huge settlement of humans somewhere, where there are even many children who are already used to living in this world and have no idea what might happen soon, because the Astro toilets will destroy absolutely everything. And there was a dialogue between the cameraman and the survivors in which the girl asked him not to shoot them, as they were not the enemy, and said that she had seen similar cameramen helping other people. And these words are very important, because it means that the cameraman knew for a long time that there were many surviving humans and even helped them. And I doubt she's talking about the people the camerawoman helped in episode 73, since it's a long way from here. It means that even before the Astro toilets destroyed this city, there were cameramen here who had already contacted the humans and took them to a safe place. And now I believe even more that the cameramen had already found many humans and made some kind of city for them where they can live in peace while the war is going on. Also notice how they're dressed. The girl who started the conversation is probably more experienced than the others and has been through a lot of shit. The two guys behind are probably newbies because you can see they're scared. And the man in the suit is probably some important person here. Maybe the mayor, and also on the right is probably his wife. And the girl asked for help to get the cameraman to take them to safety, like the other cameramen had done before. But what Bro showed shocked me. Bro literally showed the dudes to go back to their hiding place in the burning church. Are you serious right now, bruh? And I can already picture these guys waiting for help in a burning building. Oh yeah, that's perfect. But the girl was brave and started explaining to this dump dude that the church is on fire and they can't be there. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter anymore. Because literally out of nowhere appeared the same Astro for the beginning of the episode, who started fighting with the cameraman. And the cameraman had time to activate the shield which protected him from several attacks, and was able to kill one Astro with his laser beam. But then another Astro appeared who realized that it was useless to shoot at the shield and decided to go for a ram. And then we heard the same scream that Boom sent to Steak yesterday. And yes, that scream belongs to our little Sigma Steak. And Boom even added Steak to the episode description, which in my opinion is the dream of any YouTuber who does a review of skibidi toilets. So let's congratulate Steak on this cool honor. But after the cameraman killed the Astro, we saw something terrible. Because during the battle, the Astro killed all those humans the cameraman was supposed to protect. Of course I don't blame him for that, because the Astro are difficult opponents for an ordinary agent, but I felt sorry for them, and noticed that the cameraman didn't even realize at first that they were dead as he was waving for them to follow him. But then he realized that there was no one left. And I felt damn sorry for them, and I think even the cameraman felt sorry for them. But we saw another Astro that was up in smoke after the battle. But before we go next, I want to tell you something. Before the cameraman got to the city, we heard a ringing coming from the church. And interestingly enough, after the humans died, we heard the ringing too. Although I don't understand how the ringing started on its own. But that's not so important. The important thing is that we heard the ringing and saw that everything was destroyed. And actually we heard the ringing for a reason. And I think Boom is trying to tell us something. And if we Google what that might mean, we get this. Omen of disaster or misfortune. The ringing of a bell at an unusual time may be perceived as a sign of impending disaster, such as a natural catastrophe, war, or another catastrophic event. People might see it as a warning from above. And as you realized, the ringing of the bell at such a time also portends trouble, and it could be related to many deaths of humans, or it could be related to future events. And I suspect that maybe episode 77 will be the last for some character or even a Titan. Of course, I don't want anyone to die, and that's a theory, of course. But I'm pretty sure ringing in war is not a good thing, and we should be prepared for anything. Also, someone told me that in this episode there was a secret agent somewhere, but honestly, I did not notice him. But if I find it, I will tell you about it later. After humans died, Cameraman noticed another Astro and prepared his weapon to fight. But Astro disappeared from our sight, and as I expected, it was a sudden attack. And when Cameraman turned around because he heard his sound, Astro made a powerful blow with a blade that knocked Cameraman off his feet. But Cameraman was not confused and had time to activate his shield, which protected him from the next attack. But the shield could not protect him from 2 sword blows. But luckily Bro was able to fly out of the air using a jetpack to dodge the last blow. But this Astro was literally crazy as he went for a ram and knocked him down again and was ready to finish him off. Also note that this dude has a new gun and also a sword similar to Optimus Prime's sword. And actually, I've noticed that type of Astro are literally insane, because they fight to the very end without fear of losing their lives. And they also like to ram our agents like they've seen Fast and Furious too much. And this Astro was about to finish off the Cameraman, when suddenly a spear flew into his head, and we saw the epic moment, when my boy reanimation flew into this Astro and started beating him up. God, look how tough he is. Bro's completely surrounded by a Riz aura, and he started frying the mutant with his laser beam from his new guns. But that was just the beginning as SWAT skibidi mutant appeared from behind and with his yellow sickles cut off this dude's arms and hit him with his missiles. And even that wasn't the end as another Gigachad appeared. And look at the face of this Astro, Bro doesn't understand what's going on. But he didn't have to think long because the Gigachad literally ripped his head off, and during that we heard another scream that Steak sent to boom. And I noticed that in addition to the new guns, Bro got his cheekbones pumped up, so he literally looks like a Gigachad now, and it makes him look even more awesome. And I love it. Meanwhile, Rizzy Mutant has mastered the Jedi technique to regain his sword by force of thought. And the SWAT mutant started talking, and it's crazy that in just 2 episodes the dudes have boosted themselves so much. And that's what Astro technology can do, bruh. The dudes literally went to a new level and can now talk and kill Astro in 5 seconds. And before we get to their dialogue, I'll explain for those who don't know how the dudes got stronger in such a short time. The whole thing is that all this time they've been killing the Astro toilets and taking their technology. Also notice the gun that Rizzy Mutant is holding is the same gun that Skibidi Mommy had in episode 75, which means she's somewhere near this squad right now. And she took the other cameramen she saved in episode 75 with her, and that would explain why the G-Squad didn't attack our cameraman because Mommy brought the other cameramen with her and explained that there was an alliance between them. And when the toilets gathered all the Astro technology, they enhanced themselves and were able to speak as Astros can speak. And now this information will explain to us how Titan Cameraman was able to speak in episode 72. And that was because he took the Astro Claw, so he partially gained Astro power and the ability to speak. Also, Rizzy Mutant has the same helmet that used this type of Astro, so now don't be surprised that they can talk, and let's get to their dialogue. SWAT Mutant said, "Why Bro is aiming at me, is he stupid?" Then Rizzy added that they saved his life, but the main yapper was Gigachad who said those famous words. "We ain't here to hurt nobody, time for us to become friends officially." To which Bro Cameraman gave him the middle finger, which made Gigachad laugh. Also immediately pay attention to the color of his eyes, as they became dark yellow, and I think it is due to Astro technology, which partially affected them. And Bro said that it was not a question and that they will definitely be friends. But their sweet dialogue was interrupted by new Astros who came to fight. By the way, we heard the sound of the mothership we heard in episode 74. And I suspect that somewhere nearby may be the whole Astro squad, and probably they only sent a few Astros on a reconnaissance mission. And after a few Astro toilets appeared, there was a fierce fight between the Cameraman G-Squad versus Astro. And notice that right now, the Astro is under attack by Rizzy Toilet and our Cameraman, and Astro can easily withstand even that much damage, but still I doubt that these guys are more durable than the Blood TV man from the secret scene, who can definitely withstand a nuclear attack to the head. Bruh. Anyway, Astro managed to knock our cameraman off his feet, but the party is just beginning, as the king of parties has arrived, and this is our favorite DJ Toilet, who immediately turned on his favorite beats and sent Astro to the sidelines. And then Cameraman Strider showed up as well, and together with Gigachad, they literally tore this Astro to pieces. And I'm not gonna lie, it's like the guys have been teammates their whole lives, although they and agents met only a couple of minutes ago, and it's insane. But Astro survived even that and kept fighting back in a half-dead state until the legendary Michael Jackson showed up, and with his Jedi blades literally stabbed the mutant in the head and then chopped it off. The G-Squad is definitely from Ohio, dudes are just top-notch. And all this time, the DJ never stopped flexing to the coolest beats of this summer. But now we're in for one of the most important events in the whole episode, because all of a sudden little paws appeared out of the Astro head, and the freaking head literally came to life. By the way, I noticed that this scene was interrupted, and it's spliced from 2 videos because the animation just broke at that point. And most likely Mr. Boom had some problems with SFM, but it's okay, because the craziest thing was the head that came to life and started screaming like crazy and tried to attack the cameraman. And even the laser beam couldn't stop the crazy head, and the cameraman even got scared and stopped shooting at it. But it was good that Jigachad was with them, because the bro threw the head at the other Astro who was watching, and there was an explosion. By the way, pay attention to this dude. He didn't try to fight and just watched. And I think my theory is right that there is an Astro mothership with a whole squad somewhere nearby. And these Astros were sent just for reconnaissance. Or they thought that these guys are enough to kill G Squad. And I suspect that in the next episode, we will see a more epic battle. But what about this head? Honestly, I have many theories. The simplest theory is that the shape of the Astro race is not really what we see, and maybe the whole Astro race is parasites that hide in the bodies. Or is it through these parasites that the Astro Emperor controls other Astros? Honestly, I have so many thoughts that I could yap for 10 minutes about that. But my analysis is already too long, so I will make a separate video about it, and believe me, I have something to tell you. And after all that, the cameraman finally gave a thumbs up, and Jigachad started smiling and said, "Let's go." And honestly, I loved that episode, and especially at the end when Bro waved his hands and said, "Let's go."
Let's go.
I don't know why, but I was so happy when I heard that because I love G Squad, and when they made the alliance officially, the guys will cook for us. So let them cook.